IELTS Part 143. The first use of anesthesia in obstetric field occurred in Scotland by Dr. James Simpson. Instead of ether, which he considered irritating to the eyes, Simpson administered chloroform to reduce the pain of childbirth. Simpson sprinkled chloroform on the handkerchief and allowed laboring women to inhale the fumes at their own discretion. In 1853, Queen Victoria agreed to use chloroform during the birth of her 8th child. Soon the use of chloroform during childbirth was both acceptable and fashionable. However, as chloroform became a more popular anesthetic, knowledge of its toxicity surfaced and it was soon obsolete. After World War II, numerous developments were made in the field of aesthetics. Surgical procedures that had been unthinkable were being performed with little or no pain felt by the patient. Rather than physicians or nurses who administer the pain relief as part of their profession, anesthesiologists became specialists in suppressing consciousness and alleviating pain. Anesthesiologists today are classified as pre-operative physicians, meaning they can take care of a patient before, during, and after surgical procedures. It takes over 8 years of schooling and 4 years of residency until an anesthesiologist is prepared to practice. In the United States. These experts are trained to administer 3 different types of anesthetics: the general anesthesia, local anesthesia, and regional anesthesia. The general anesthetic is used to put a patient into a temporary state of unconsciousness. Local anesthetic is used only at an affected site and causes loss of sensation. Regional anesthetic is used to block the sensation and the movement of a larger portion of body, as well as controlling the levels of pain for the patient before and throughout an operation. Anesthesiologists are responsible for monitoring and controlling the patient's vital function during the procedure and assessing the medical needs in the post-operative room. The number of anesthesiologists in the United States has more than doubled since the 1970s, as has the improvement and success of operative care. In addition, complications from anesthesiology have declined dramatically. Over 40 million anesthetics are administered in the United States each year, with only 1 in 250,000 causing death. There are many questions in reading. We can talk about the matching columns, we can talk about the completion of summary, we can talk about the true, false, not stated or not given, we can talk about the list of headings, we can talk about the missing content, we can talk about the statement associating to a paragraph, we can talk about labeling diagrams, we can talk about the matching columns, we can talk about the cause and effect, we can talk about various questions. Well, we believe that the module of reading is supposed to be the most difficult of all 4 modules: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And it's not just here in Pakistan, but all over the world. Talk about Asians, talk about Far East, talk about Southeast Asians, talk about Arabs, talk about Africans, talk about Europeans, talk about different parts of the world. You always find the module of reading to be the most difficult one. But I have seen over the years that doctors and engineers are very good at module of reading, and more so the students of CIEs and IGCSEs over here, the students of O-level and A-level have been performing very well in reading. I've seen their reading potential certainly surpassing many of the other activities, and they have always performed very well. I've seen them performing very well in reading, and they are the ones who have scored high grades, high bands in IELTS reading. Never to forget one of my students she scored 9.0 band in reading, she scored 9.0 band in listening, she scored 9.0 band in speaking, and she scored a little less in writing module, that was 8.5. So her overall band was 8.5, and she scored 9.0 in many of the modules there. Well, I'll tell you more about IELTS as I get along with the activity and inform you more about them.